Welcome to our presentation titled Differences, Friend or Foe, an overview of the influence of biblically based social justice and multicultural approaches in the mental health sector. Group 2 consists of members Aaron Fleming and Teresa Foster, located at Houston Christian University, Counseling 5317B02, instructor Stanley Williams, due date September 24th, 2023.
Without social justice, there can be no love. Bell Hooks. When working with multicultural groups and diverse populations in therapeutic settings, the role of social justice is key to not further causing harm or re-victimizing the client. Despite a history of pushed westernized concepts and therapeutic approaches, more evidence-based practices have been implemented as to promote more diverse approaches that caters to more specifically the individual, that is, those of marginalized populations. These marginalized groups are part of a greater sector that faces much injustices, hardships, and challenges in society, but unfortunately are also met with these same experiences during therapeutic sessions. Research has shown that multicultural groups and diverse populations, such as African Americans, the Latinx community, Asian Americans, and those of the LGBTQ community, are less likely to proceed with sessions due to lack of understanding and poor therapeutic relationship being established between them and their counselor. It is the counselor's responsibility to remain competent in working with multicultural groups, being familiar with their culture and struggles, and be able to implement a variety of practices and techniques that can best serve an individual of a particular group. This section of the PowerPoint will cover how the therapist's self-awareness can counteract social injustices, promote unity, and improve their mental health practices. In order to better understand oneself, we are to place ourselves in the client's chair, so to speak, and review our own past and what pushed societal agenda we have aligned ourselves with because of so. As stated, research has shown that those of marginalized groups are more likely to cease counseling and not return due to poor experiences during sessions. They believe that the therapist is not listening to them or understanding their concerns and problems, or dismissing their culture. Please see the link for the scholarly article, Multiple Macroaggressions and Therapy Outcomes, the Indirect Effects of Cultural Humility and Work in Alliance with Black, Indigenous, Women of Color Clients, for more information. These microaggressions can be stemmed from the therapist's own underlying and unresolved biased views from their own past and possible influence from worldly factors such as social media and propaganda. In his book, Confronting Justice Without Compromised Truth, Thaddeus Williams states that there are three elements of propaganda that causes division amongst society. These elements are historical revisions, encouraging stereotyping and discriminatory actions from others, and scapegoating. Historical revisions involves recalling events in a way that misleads and manipulates the perspective of a particular group in an unflattering and condemning light. The second element of stereotyping and discriminating is when the accuser encourages others to treat the accused unfairly and as the enemy. Lastly, the element of scapegoating is when the accused is blamed for all troubles, problems, and challenges of society. We have seen this many times throughout global history, from the Holocaust to American slavery and Jim Crow. So, how does one look past our differences, views, and beliefs in order to promote peace and unity in the realm of social justice? How do we heal from our biases and better serve our neighbor that is, the client in the therapeutic setting. From a Christian standpoint, Scripture tells us in Matthew 25:40, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. This informs us that as we look to the person to our left and our right, the person on the bus, at the grocery store, in the car that just cut in front of us on our ride to work, how we choose to respond to them as Christians is how we are choosing to respond to God. The next slide will review how to overcome societal division and social injustice with biblical truth. Genesis 1:26 through 28 states that we all bear the image and likeness of God. As his image bearers, it is clear how the mentioned scripture of Matthew 25 keeps in alignment with how we are to respond to others. In his book, Williams uses the scripture to encourage society that this is the key to attaining the peace and unity that is social justice. As Christians, for us to see everyone as image bearers of God, it would make it difficult to mistreat anyone or speak ill of them. This new lens will hold our actions, behaviors, and speech accountable to acting in a way that is good and pleasing to the Lord, because we will be seeing them as he sees them, a reflection of his own image, even if of dim reflection, as stated in 1 Corinthians 13:12. In the mental health sector, as a therapist, this view assists with keeping our biases from causing unintentional harm to the client with unconscious behaviors, body language, and verbal responses. Therapists are to practice cultural humility and be culturally comfortable with asking questions about one's culture without causing harm or discomfort to the client, as stated in sections 8.4 in the American Counselors Association Code of Ethics and ES 1:1110 of the American Association of Christian Counselors. This avoidance of causing harm includes not imposing our beliefs and views onto our clients and countertransference. We will be able to treat them all as the individuals that they are and respect their differences from us. With unbiased eyes, the therapist will be able to foster a therapeutic process and environment that welcomes the client with positive regard, respect, warmth, and genuineness. Seeing clients as image bearers can help tear down the wall of religious, faith, political, and lifestyle views and enhance the therapeutic relationship and bond by promoting trust, empathy, freedom of expression from the client, and alleviating fear of being judged and misunderstood. Therapists are to be mindful that many clients of all backgrounds, sectors, and populations are different, even within the subculture themselves. Therefore, a one-shoe-fits-all in regard to therapeutic approach is not applicable. Each individual should be treated as so, an individual. Even if the client has identified themselves to being part of a greater group or a sector, it is the therapist's ethical and professional responsibility to not stereotype the client, but use that information as guidance for techniques and practices, with the client contributing as much as possible. Therefore, if the client has very different beliefs from the therapist, whether of Christian faith or not, the therapist should remember why they are there, to help the client. As Christians, may we hold on to why Jesus came for us. Though we were sinners, he still died for us. John 3:16. Jesus, without sin, holy as he is, came for a sinful generation. not because we were like him.
I started my slides off with a biblical quote in relation to therapy, and it reads, "Where there is strife, there is pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice," from Proverbs 13:10. Now, I chose this specific quote because I have met deeply religious people who may feel like therapy is only for crazy people. Also, because I grew up in a household with an older generation, which is my great aunt, she felt as though the Bible and prayer could fix everything, but even the Bible is telling us to take advice because we don't know it all and we could stand to learn something new, which we also learn, or I feel like personally, we learn new things every day. We don't know everything, especially when it comes to our mental health and just problems, everyday problems. Sometimes we get frustrated because we don't know, or we could be told things. And when we are told things, they actually help. I feel like we need to take advice because there is wisdom in advice. I have empirically supported therapy, which became popularized when the American Psychological Association began promoting the use of validated or research-supported treatments/therapies confirmed as effective for specific orders. Now, they are increasingly being promoted in social work, counseling, psychology, and psychiatry, as it also relates to psychotherapy. As it also relates to psychotherapy, evidence-based relationships such as therapist and client connection, and evidence-based practice such as an integrated model that combines research or therapist judgment and qualities and client culture and characteristics. Next, we have empirically supported relationships, which is the quality of the relationship between therapist and patient. It also plays a fundamental role in the positive outcome in any form of psychotherapy. Empirically supported relationships have variables that include the development of a strong therapeutic alliance, a solid interpersonal bond, including a collaborative, empathetic relationship based on positive regard, respect, warmth, and genuineness, while also including effective management of counter-transference and all factors known to be critical for effective multicultural counseling. Empirically supported relationships are critical of the reliance on empirically supported therapy alone. They also cite the multitude of other factors impacting treatment outcome, such as the therapeutic relationship, client beliefs and values, and the working alliance between client and therapist. Next, we have therapeutic alliance, including empathy, respect, genuineness, and warmth. These dynamics typify a therapeutic relationship in which the client feels understood, safe, and encouraged to disclose intimate materials. This transcends into the therapist's therapeutic orientation or approach to treatment and plays a role in effective treatment. Therapeutic alliance is comprised of 3 elements: an emotional or interpersonal bond between therapist and client, mutual agreement on appropriate goals with an emphasis on changes valued by the client, and in intervention strategies that are important to both client and therapist. I also decided to start my next slides off with another biblical quote in relation to healing. And it reads, "A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." I pulled this from Proverbs 17:22. And to me, what this means is having a great heart is okay, but your spirit is normally what shows up on your face when you're feeling some type of way, or your spirit when it's not right. You're normally not feeling good, or you're not normally yourself. You're quieter, you're not around, you're absent-minded and just focused on the bad. But as I walk through these different healings of this section of next we have the principles of indigenous healing. Indigenous healing can be defined as helping beliefs and practices that originate within a culture or society. It is not transported from other religions and is designed to treat the inhabitants of the given group. Indigenous healings have 3 approaches. First, heavy reliance on the use of communal, group, and family networks to shelter the individual in distress. Second, there is the use of spiritual and religious beliefs and traditions of the community in healing. And lastly, there is the use of shamans who are perceived to be the keepers of timeless wisdom. Next, we have Western healings, which most people have been trained in Western ontology, so they don't embrace indigenous or alternative healing approaches. Instead, they decline them because they are unscientific and supernatural. Mental health professionals are encouraged to rely on sensory info defined by the physical plane of existence rather than the spiritual plane. Worldview differences pose a problem for Western-trained mental health professionals who may quickly dismiss these belief systems and impose their own explanations and treatments on culturally diverse clients. This could cause a problem in clientele and or future clientele. And last, I have the shamanic healing traditions. And even though every culture has multiple healers in global indigenous cultures, the shaman is the most powerful of all because only they possess the ultimate magistio-religious powers that go beyond the senses. The shaman uses a mystical approach, such as incense, candle burning, newspaper, trance like chanting, spirit diagnosis, and even a home visit. The universal shamanic tradition, which encompasses the centuries-old recognition of shamans or healers within a community, refers to people often called witches, witch doctors, wizards, or medicine men or women.